these currencies and keep the good things. You are the real market player here. That's your turn now.
Oh, thank you. So one useful way to think about virtual currencies is to divide them into two very broad categories. One is the utility token category, and the other is the price stable or payment token category. On the utility token side, we have lots of different tokens. Sometimes they're called cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Ether are two very prominent examples. Those two utility tokens were designed as protocol tokens. They're designed first to incentivize people to lend their resources into a system to validate transactions and secure the networks, and you get utility from that. On the Ethereum platform, you also are able to use this token to pay for running programs on the system. Neither of these tokens were designed to be price-stable tokens. They weren't necessarily designed to be used as payment instruments, although some people use them in some cases for that. Price-stable tokens generally track some sort of asset. So they're either tracking a US dollar, they might be tracking gold, they might be tracking baskets of currencies or commodities. There's some more exotic elements that these are tracking. Where you get trust from on the utility token side is decentralization. So massive decentralization in the case of those two networks, Ethereum and Bitcoin, gives you non-centralized trust. Where you get trust from in price-stable currencies is some decentralization potentially, but some other mechanisms. So there are some price-stable currencies that are algorithmic, that are over-collateralized by Ether, for instance, on the Ethereum platform in the form of make or die. And even that quite decentralized system has some elements of centralization because you still need a price feed, you need oracles. For other instruments like Tether, USDC, there are assets in a bank, and so there's a decent amount of decentralization, but much more centralized. For central bank digital currencies, you have trust imbued in the system by the institution, by regulation. In my opinion, having choice for the consumer is the thing that we should be striving for. So projects like Libra, in their structure, are reasonable. I would like to see many projects like Libra structured differently with different characteristics. In many nations, this is all about financial inclusion. It's all about people in different nations being able to be part of the global financial system. Many companies around the world would be happy to sell and ship anything to anybody in the world. Often the problem is payment, the difficulty in making that cross-border payment. And so I would like to see many of these systems being brought forth and offered as options. I'm a little bit concerned about the Libra project, as others on this panel might also be, simply because the Libra project is the Facebook project. We know the people who are working on that project. It's 99% Facebook people. And the Facebook nation has 2.4 billion citizens, and it probably shouldn't be in a position where it can set monetary policy for small and medium-sized nations. So I agree with you that I think it's going to be very difficult for Libra to launch. I actually thought that they would launch before Mark's testimony in front of US Congress, when he indicated that they wouldn't launch unless they had US regulatory approval. I think many people breathed a sigh of relief because that's going to be difficult to get. It's going to be difficult to get in the EU. I figured they would start in some small nations and bide their time and gradually diffuse throughout the world. So bottom line is nothing really wrong with the structure of Libra, but having Facebook, who have lost the trust of many people and have exploited personal information and people's attention, having that organization, despite their protestations, marry your financial history going forward, all of your transactions, with what they mined in databases, with what they get from the devices that you carry, is going to be something that's not good for humanity.
Yeah. Okay. So enough to talk about